If you're a high achieving woman over 40 and you are feeling stuck in a toxic job and you're planning your exit strategy, you're quietly, secretly plotting, okay? But you're scared that you might lose everything you've worked so hard for. I want you to stop right there. Don't quit until you watch this video. This episode is made just for you, okay? Because I remember sitting in my car not that long ago after yet another hostile team meeting, okay? And then a battle in the boardroom with other administrators and leaders, executives and such, tension between subordinates, the morale being down in the environment as a whole, just all the way toxic. And I remember crying silently in my car behind my sunglasses, thinking to myself, I cannot do this anymore. I just cannot do this anymore. I cannot take much more of this. Now, typically in that scenario, when I get to feeling that way, I would walk away. Okay, I was a job hopper, so I cannot tell you how many jobs I have had in the 30-year tenure of my career in corporate America. But as you can imagine, having had a job that only, was about a year or two, that was the longest time I stayed, you could do the math and figure out about how many jobs I must have had during that time. But I said to myself in this particular moment, after having left many toxic jobs in many hostile work environments, that sure, I could just walk away like I typically do. But I knew, having done that before, the consequences that sometimes, the predicament that would put me and my family in, and the consequences I sometimes paid, heavy consequences sometimes, for making that very impulsive decision. Even though it was like right there in my throat, just bottled up inside of me, I was ready to walk and not look back. But I knew walking away without a plan could cost me my entire livelihood. So what nobody taught me back then was that I had rights. Okay. And I didn't just have rights. I had a lot of rights. Okay. Not just a few, a lot. But I didn't know exactly what to do and how to go about it. I didn't know how to fight for myself or how to really advocate for myself yet. Okay. Yet. And I see the sun is kind of shining behind me a little bit, so it's turned a different way. Hopefully it doesn't make me too blurred out and that you could still see me okay. But here's the lesson I learned. The lesson I learned is that your freedom requires strategy, not just snap decisions. And I was good. I'm a very impulsive person, okay, especially back then. You're not being weak by staying just a little bit longer, long enough to plan your strategy, your exit strategy. Okay, you're not being weak, you're being wise. And that's what we got to do at this big old age, girl, okay? Because we've got too much on our plates and too much to risk, right? So sometimes, now, unless you're in a burning building, as I call it, or a sinking ship, right? Meaning that you're being harmed in some way, or there's a very near threat to your health and overall well-being, then that's the time you just got to bounce and be like, deuces, okay, and figure it out after the fact. But if that's not the case, then yes, let's make a plan. And that's what I want to talk about in today's episode, okay? So the first thing I want you to know is document everything. Document. Documentation is always going to be your best friend, okay? Start keeping detailed records, dates, times, incidents, sceneries, what people, who's around, the witnesses, emails, text messages, phone calls, what who was wearing what and when and where they were standing, like details. Get as detailed as you possibly can. This is going to protect you if ever there is a time you need to take legal action. And you never know if you will have to or not, but you always want to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, okay? Always, always, always be ready. Remember that mantra. You might need it for legal reasons. You might need it for unemployment purposes. You never really know, but you want to always just have this in your back pocket. Now, as a side note, I have a whole video where I talk about documentation. And so I want to make sure that you go and watch that video after this one. In fact, I'll make sure that it is linked in the end card, to pop up as the video that you need to watch next, just so that you can go ahead and do that after you watch this video, so it will tie together and make more sense to you. Because I'm not going too deep in this video about documentation, okay? Pretty much what I said is about as far as I'm going to take it in this particular video. But again, I went deep in documentation and the details of that in the other video. So watch that next. But when I filed my own claim, okay, it was documentation that actually saved me. So documentation will be the very thing that saves you too. Now, before we go any further or any deeper, if you're getting what I'm giving and you love these gems I'm dropping, go ahead and leave a comment right now so we can get this discussion popping. As you get an aha moment or something hits home or resonates with you or something you're experiencing right now, or maybe you did in the past or you know someone who is, make sure you leave me a message in the comments below so we can continue the dialogue beyond this video. And by the way, if you're getting value from any of my episodes or my content here on as you peruse around my page, whether you're new to me or true to me, welcome or welcome back. I appreciate you being here. I want to make sure that if you're feeling my vibe and want to be a part of my tribe, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single episode whenever I drop new content and or go live, okay? Now, here are 3 red flags that I need you to know that can strengthen your case. 3 red flags, 3, okay? That's the magic number that can strengthen your case. The first thing is hostile work environment. The second is discrimination and harassment. And the third is retaliation after reporting your concerns to your employer. Your employer being your manager, whoever your direct report is. It's going to be HR, any person in a leadership role. Okay, if you've reported the incident and then they retaliated against you, all of those 3 categories that I just gave you could potentially be, especially if HR sweeps this complaint under the rug, so to speak, and they're not just being shady and shysty, because that is shady, shysty, and I'm going to keep this rated PG, okay? But SHITTY, honey, it could be illegal. It could be illegal, okay? It could be illegal. Document. Understand constructive discharge. What does that mean? Well, that's when you're forced to quit because you're forced to quit due to unbearable conditions. Okay, it might be treated as legal or legally wrongful termination. It could be. So an example might be if you're leaving on your own, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it's always like you're quitting, okay? You're resigning is not always quitting or resigning in the eyes of the law. So even though your employer may try to spin the narrative as they always do, and they say, well, you know what? You left us, you quit. So you don't get any benefits with that. Slow it down, okay? Know your rights. Get in touch with somebody who does. If you don't know your rights, do your homework, do your due diligence, because that could actually be treated as, that might be treated legally as wrongful termination, and that's in your favor. You understand what I'm saying? So I want you to talk to an employment law attorney, an employment lawyer, someone who specifically specializes in this area that I just listed, where I listed harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination, that sort of thing, especially if you're in a protected class. And again, I talk about that in my other video around documentation. Speak to an attorney, speak to a legal nurse consultant like myself, okay, who has an employment law background, who has an HR background and training. Someone like me can get on a call with you to help you map these things out and make it make sense, okay? So the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And until I asked the right questions, and after dealing with like repeated experiences like this in many toxic environments, okay, toxic jobs, hostile work environments, I quickly learned how to advocate for myself and eventually became trained and certified. I had been trained in HR and certified in HR. So there was some legal component to that, but I actually became a legal nurse consultant. And I became a legal nurse consultant because I wanted to battle corporate bullies legally. Okay. And now I teach others how to do the same. So I have also got a really large network of resources, specifically some of the best employment law, lots of different types of attorneys, but specifically since we're talking about this today, employment law attorneys, East Coast, West Coast, down South, you name it. They're spread about. Okay. That can actually, in the event that you need it, that I can refer you to. Okay. Especially if it goes beyond something that you can deal with on your own, like maybe it's not a battle that you can fight on your own. Okay. The reason I became a legal nurse consultant, like I said, is just to really put up my dukes, but not fight with my fist, but with my mind and my mouth, which have always been two of my greatest weapons. So, okay, I want you to protect your benefits. And I really feel like I'm being overshadowed by the way the sun is coming in. So again, hopefully you can see me, but just that time of the day that I'm doing videos. So, okay, protect your benefits. Okay, I want you to ask about all of your benefits, medical, dental, like your unemployment eligibility, your severance pay, health insurance, like I said, medical, dental, vision, any other benefits that you might have. Okay. And then also certainly your 401k or your 403b retirement savings plan, your rollovers. Okay. How can you roll over the dollar amount that's in your current plan with your employer now to either an individual account or one with another employer, if that's your wish to go to another employer, or just to, like I said, an individualized account. So with a broker. So you just want to look into that. Those are some of the things that should be top of mind, because quitting without checking on these things could cost you thousands of dollars. Okay. And that will be painful. So you don't want to leave any money on the table. You know what I'm saying? Freedom doesn't just mean like throwing it all away. In fact, it means fighting for what you deserve so you can walk away with your power and dignity intact. That's what it means. So before you make a move, I want you to get the help you need to map this out. Let's go ahead and strategically map out your exit plan. Devise a plan, set a date, mark a calendar, do what you got to do. But before you, as you're moving in silence, I want you to do it the right way so you don't make costly mistakes. So I want you to book your Freedom and Focus Clarity call. Let's get, creative. Let's make sure we create a safe, strategic plan for your exit so that you're not walking away from something, but walking into everything you deserve. Okay. This clarity call, by the way, is a strategic soul-aligned session to help you get out of this maddening cycle that you're in right now, this DIY cycle, because you've been trying to do it alone all this time without the proper support. Okay. You don't want to keep doing that because it's taking up too much of your time, wasting time, actually, taking up a lot of your energy. You don't have the capacity, especially when you're fighting the powers that be. Okay. This is a systemic issue. You're fighting the big dogs. Okay. And you cannot and should not do that alone. Now, depends how bad it's gotten and how far you've gone. You at least want to know, you at least want to have your ducks in a row and know exactly what you need to do. And if this is a battle you can win on your own, or if you're going to need a team, a legal team to fight for you and be on your side. So, you at least want to have some direction, some guidance, some support along the way. Okay. So do not do it alone. We need to figure out what is your next best move. And that's what we're going to map out. You're going to walk away with a very personalized game plan so you have clarity and insight and know exactly what you need to do next. And if you decide you want to work, on a deeper level and get a bigger transformation, we could talk about that too, because I am enrolling people into women over 40, high achieving women over 40, who want to work with me and get a deeper transformation. We're going to talk about how you can work with me in my 30-day intensive. It's my group coaching program, the Legacy Leaders Lab. And I'll talk to you through all of the details in that call. Okay. So whether it's you're leaving a job or launching your brand or rebuilding your business with peace, with profits in mind and with reclaiming your power, we're doing all of that and then some. Okay. So if you're serious, by the way, about working together on a deeper level, you want that transformation, you want to reach new heights, a new level and experience that gratification that you've been seeking for a long time, and not keep talking about it, but actually creating the life that you dream of, desire, and deserve. I want you to apply for the Legacy Leaders Lounge. And again, we're going to go into detail more on that call, but just so you know what you get in that 30 days of working with me, just kind of on a high level overview, you're going to get clear on your next direction. You're going to be able to build offers around your purpose and connect it to a profitable problem. Okay. It's going to be something that hopefully you're also passionate about, but we'll talk about that as well. You're going to be able to reclaim your power to create peace and to make bigger profits, right? So you want predictable income. And right now that might not be your case. So we're going to talk about that and help you do that. And you also want to feel seen, you want to feel supported, and you want to be strategic. So again, high level overview. Of course, we're going to go deeper than that on the call. So book your call. Okay. And by the way, here's a bonus. You're going to get that's going to cost $222 for the clarity call. That's what I'm charging now. The price will go up, but I'm doing this as a bonus for a limited time. I'm working with a very limited number of people in each cohort, taking no more than 10 at a time. Okay, like that's maxing me out. That's all we're taking because I want this to be a small, quaint, intimate group in an intimate setting and a conducive learning environment for you. Okay. So this is what I'm doing for you for now. That $222 for the call is going to hold you accountable for showing up, not just for me, but for you. Okay. I'm holding you accountable. Then if we decide to work together, you'll be able to apply that cost or investment for the call to the Legacy Leaders Lounge. Sweet deal. Okay. You can't beat it. And even if we don't decide to work together because you just want some one-off support, that's fine too. You still just pay that small investment right now while it is still that price. I don't know, as of this recording, that's what it is. Who knows what it will be in the future, right? However, if by the time you book, it happens to still be that, you still walk away with that personalized game plan and a lot of clarity. So you can't win, okay? It's a win-win, or you can't lose. It's a win-win situation. All right. I think that's all I wanted to share with you, but that's my time. I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to share this video out with at least 3 friends and watch the next video that YouTube recommends. As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now. See you next time.